Okay, so American Horror Stories, episode 6, I believe. Not really much to say. I know I say this all the time for like every review and then I just end up going on for about 15 minutes-ish. But this time, really, I don't really have much to say. It was a great episode, but like I said in my last review, I don't want to repeat myself. I mean, when I say stuff like, oh, they reveal... The acting's great, the story's great, they reveal new stuff in new things in every scene. When I say stuff like that, I don't want to say in every single review. I just want to say any new things, any new opinions or new thoughts I have to offer. So really, it's just a few individual scenes of this episode I want to talk about. Because story in general about the episode, there's really not much to talk about because I'm pretty much just repeating what I've said about the other ones. Anyway, so let's get on with the episodes which the scenes which are worth mentioning. So this episode opens up with the school shootout scene. So Tatum goes around and he just starts he kills everyone in the library. That was a great scene, well shot, well acted, and well, the acting was kind of bad in one or two parts, but it was pretty, for the most part it was fine. Tatum did a good job. I liked how they didn't show his face at all until the very end. So he just walks around killing everyone, and it's not until at the very end where you see his face when he flips the table over before he kills the final girl. And the look on the guy's face was great. I don't know who plays Tatum. I don't know the actor's name. I think it's Evan something. Not 100% sure on that, but he's great. I mean, the look on his face was just pure evil. He's a great actor. And that was a pretty cool shot anyway. The shot where he's just holding the shotgun. It's like a low angle shot looking up at him, and he's just got the shotgun and then he just fires it. That was a great shot. I also liked how merciless, is that a word? I'm not quite sure, but he's just had no mercy when he's killing people. Like, you got that guy begging for his life and Tatum just interrupts him mid-sentence and just blows his head off with a shotgun or whatever. That was great. One thing about that scene confused me though. In episode 5, when the ghosts of the victims, they're following Tatum around, and at one point the goth girl, she says, you asked me whether or not I believed in God, then you put a gun to my head. I said yes, it wasn't even true, but then you pulled the trigger. So obviously this scene is showing how they all died. This scene showed Tatum killing them all. But in this scene, and I've watched this episode 3 times by now. It was a great episode, but I've watched the episode 3 times by now, and he definitely didn't ask her, do you believe in God, in that scene. So what was she on about there? I'm not sure, maybe it got cut out or something. I mean, doing editing, maybe they cut it out for some reason. Someone did suggest online that the scene was gorier because you don't see anybody getting killed. You hear the pretty impressive sound effects, like the blood splatter. I guess school shootings is like a touchy subject or whatever. Like, I understand that, but so someone suggested that the scene was probably did have some gore in it, but maybe they cut it out. And while they were cutting it out, I guess it's possible they cut out the girl's line, Tatum's line, do you believe in God? So it's kind of confusing. So maybe it's a mistake. Maybe that got cut out during the editing or something. Or maybe he just whispered there really quietly and we didn't get to see. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, that was like one thing which kind of made me stop and think about it. One last thing about the school shooting scene. So overall that was a great scene, great way to open up the episode. But what the jock guy, I'm just going to call him that, the jock, what the jock did was pretty retarded. I mean, so Tatum walks around, with no mercy whatsoever. He just, as soon as he sees every single person, he kind of pauses for like 3 seconds, and then he just shoots them with his shotgun. So, I mean, you even have the guy on the floor, he's begging for his life, and Tatum interrupts him mid-sentence and just blows his head off. So, the jock guy, he's hidden, Tatum is gonna leave the library, and then the guy goes, okay, that's enough. So the guy jumps up from beneath the table, in which Tatum clearly didn't know he was there. So the guy jumps up, Tatum's got his back turned, and then the guy just says, hey, and he stands there. And Tatum spins around to look at him, then he just goes, that's enough. And then Tatum just blows him away. What was he expecting? I don't understand. It's just, what, why? Why did they write that into the script? They could have thought of a better way for Tatum to find him. That really didn't make any sense. Like, he even had the opportunity to attack Tate. Tate had his back turned. The guy was standing right behind him. He could have like attacked him or whatever, but no, instead he stands there and just says, hey. Like, he literally stands there, says hey, and Tatum only just then realises he's behind him. So then Tate turns around and the guy still stands there, and he just goes, that's enough. You really think that's going to convince him not? I mean, what were they thinking when they wrote that part of the script? That's one thing which really bugged me a bit. But the show was so awesome, I can look past that. And the scene itself was awesome overall anyway. But it's just a little thing that bugged me. Nothing really important though. So the next scene I would like to talk about is the SWAT team. The SWAT team sequence, let's call it that. That was great. When the SWAT team confront Tatum, and then this isn't really a spoiler because it's common knowledge that he's dead. I mean, you find this out in like the 3rd episode, but yeah. So the SWAT team obviously kill him. I mean, that's how he's killed, because they're kind of drip feeding you the history of the house. So this is part of the history, and the SWAT team basically blow Tatum down with their machine guns. That was a great scene. I mean, the tension and suspense was great. I liked how they only showed the SWAT team killing him at the very end of the episode. So the scene was kind of split up into 2 parts. And the special effects were great. Yeah, the special effects were great. The bullet holes, and you know, you just get to see blood and the bullet holes like just spray everywhere when they go through Tate. That's a pretty graphic shootout scene. It was done well though. That was a great scene. Great special effects. So there you go. And there's really only one other scene I have to talk about really. That's all I have to say about this episode. So the other scene I would like to talk about is the piggy scene, or whatever you want to call it. So they kind of have the Bloody Mary legend kind of revamped, I guess, for this episode. So you have basically the Bloody Mary legend, except you say something like piggy, then you have the guy in the pig mask jumping out from behind you in the mirror to kill you. So it's basically the Bloody Mary legend. Yeah. So that character, I can't remember his name, but so Ben has a patient where the patient, he's kind of obsessed with all these myths, like you know, the Bloody Mary myth and stuff like that, and he's like terrified to the point where this stuff is consuming his life. So he's one of Ben's patients. My question is, what purpose did he have? This is really the only character in the whole entire show which has appeared without a purpose. I mean, every single other character that has appeared in the show, they've had some sort of effect to the main characters, or they're part of the main story, let's say. But this is really the first time where a character has been introduced to the show where they just simply didn't matter. What happened to them doesn't really, it doesn't seem to have affected the other characters or the main story. I don't know, I mean, maybe in the next episodes his ghost will come back or something, pissed off at Ben, I don't know. But basically his character, I just don't understand what purpose he had. But considering the show is really awesome and his character was really interesting, the character's story was really interesting anyway, so taking that into account, I can forgive his character for not having a purpose. I mean, this show has done a great job with the character so far. Every character has had a purpose up until this point, with this one character kind of seems like he didn't really have a purpose. I don't know, maybe he'll have a part in the future episodes. But in this episode, he didn't really seem that important. Either way, his story was really interesting anyway, so I don't really mind. I know it's not really a complaint, more of an observation, I guess. But yeah, and the piggy scene. So you say something like piggy in a mirror in your bathroom, and then the guy in the pig mask jumps out and kills you. That scene was great because of course Ben convinces the guy to face his fears, let's say. So he goes home, stands in the mirror and does the legend. He says piggy. And I'm not going to say what happens just in case you haven't seen the episode. Trying to, well, spoilers of course, I'm not going to ruin it in case you haven't seen the episode. But that was a really suspenseful scene. That scene was just really suspenseful. I really had no idea what the hell was going to happen next. You know, it had me on the edge of my seat, and the payoff was really good. I just never would have guessed what would happen. You know, that was just a great scene. It's one of the most unexpected moments ever. One hell of a coincidence. What happened was one hell of a coincidence, but I still liked it. It was awesome. Just because of how random and unexpected it was. But it still makes sense though, so that character, although he didn't really have a purpose, he still took up a bit of screen time. He was a fun character, and his part of the story was great, even though it's not really connected to the main plot. And it was just, his payoff was great. The payoff to his story. I really wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so that's pretty much just those three scenes I wanted to talk about. The school shootout, the SWAT team scene, and the piggy scene. That's pretty much all the scenes I have to talk about, nothing else to say. This is really the first episode. It had one or two scenes which I felt as if weren't necessary. I mean, they could have done without them. I mean, all of the other episodes, every single scene felt as if it contributed to the main story, or at least to the characters in some way. One or two scenes in this episode kind of seemed a bit like filler, but good quality filler, if you know what I mean, because this episode, it's still been awesome. Even the filler scenes, what I consider to be filler scenes, even they were entertaining to an extent. So even then, the show gets a lot of marks for that, so it's still an awesome show and a great episode. But just a little observation again I'd like to make. I'm sure, and I don't mind, every single TV show has got to have filler at some point. So I don't blame them for having like one or two scenes of filler. And one scene in particular I'm talking about is the moment where Violet goes into the basement. She goes into the basement and then she sees a bunch of the ghosts of the house. So you have the doctor guy who was doing the abortions on the women back in the past. You have the victims from episode 2. And I can't really, I think there were one or two other ghosts, like the two little boys in the first episode and stuff like that. But yeah, so it was that scene where she just saw the ghosts in the basement. That kind of seemed really pointless. I don't really see why they had her in there. I guess you could argue it's what triggered Violet to try and commit suicide later on. I guess you could say that, but whatever. Maybe some people felt as if it wasn't necessary. Personally, not me, but it didn't bug me or anything. It's still fine. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about the episode. Anything else? Only real complaint, the only real complaint I guess is no Larry. No, that's not really a complaint, but Larry is my favourite character. And of course he doesn't appear in this episode once, which is kind of disappointing. He's my favourite character. But yeah, it was a great episode. Although you had that one character, Ben's patient. It didn't really seem as if he had much of a purpose, but he was still fun to watch, and his part of the story, although it doesn't seem connected to the main plot at this point in time, his story was still awesome, and the ending, the resolution to his story was great. I really wasn't expecting that. So the next episode looks awesome, I will say that. When I saw the Next Time trailer, immediately it grabbed my attention, because in the first shot of the Next Time trailer, you're looking at the back of someone, someone's facing away from the camera, and immediately I knew who they were, and then the guy just spun around to face the camera and he just goes, "They're selling the house." and of course it turns out to be Larry, who is... So it looks like Larry's going to be featured in the next episode quite heavily. So that's one thing the show does well as well. All of the characters, they kind of get their own episodes. I mean, so you get for example, one episode focuses heavily on Larry. Like Larry appears a lot in the episode. And then in the next episode, Constance is kind of the main character. So you get Larry, he appears quite a bit in the episode, and then in the next episode you get Constance appearing quite a lot, and of course Larry takes a backseat then. So they are developing the characters, like, we're spending an equal amount of time with all of the characters, so we get to know them all, and they're developing all of their stories quite well and stuff, you know, so the show does a great job with that. It shares the amount of time we spend with every character equally, if you know what I mean. So great job to the writers or whoever for doing that. But yeah, so the next episode looks like it's going to focus on Larry a bit more. It looks like he has a few scenes in the next episode. So I'm looking forward to the next episode purely because of Larry. But yeah, even then the story of the next episode looks interesting, because it seems as if they're starting to get moving with trying to sell the house, you know. So it looks interesting, because you have Larry and Constance and the maid and everyone, even the woman who sold them the house, everyone's going after them to try and stop them from selling or tearing down the house or whatever they're doing. But yeah, the next episode looks great. It looks fun. Looks really interesting. Now that would be 7 of 13. But yeah, okay, so that's the end of my review of American Horror Story Series 1, Episode 6. Thanks for watching. Great episode, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Bye.